welcome to this quarterly Sunday School leadership meeting for February. We had all kinds of technical problems at the leadership meeting, blown projector bulb, all kinds of fun stuff, new computer, bad computer. A lot has happened since last Sunday, but I did want to try to go back and recapture a few of the things that we talked about in the Sunday School leadership meeting. It won't be the whole hour and 15-minute meeting, obviously, nor do I think you'd really want to sit here and go through that whole meeting. But I did want to touch on some of the highlights from the meeting and kind of catch you up on some of that kind of things some of the things that we talked about, just so that we all know. And so I've got pretty much everything set and worked out. If you were actually watching, I'm live on YouTube, even something we've been working towards for a long time. So, but anyway, this is kind of a trial run. We'll work on getting better at the whole meeting thing, because I want everyone to have opportunity to have a meeting. And so sometimes remind me to tell you my $100 meeting story. But anyway, let's get to it, shall we? So let's switch over to the big screen and go through the Prezi a little bit. And so, like I said, it is a quarterly leadership meeting for February 2016. And so let's kind of begin to follow through some things. The agenda for the evening was we gave out the teaching material as always. We'll do a little bit of an overview, even in this video, statistical review, class questions, answers, and then we did a little bit of leadership development, and we'll talk a little bit about that. I won't be able to do the whole contacting prospects thing, but we'll make links available. So with that, let's carry on, shall we? And so the first thing that we did was we talked about the statistical part of our Sunday school. Remember, the things we're focusing on, those 4 words that we began to talk about: attraction, assimilation, advancement, and attrition. When Jared came, really we've boiled those 4 words down into 2. The first one is to equip and to engage. And so those are the 2 things that we've boiled things down into. And so when we engage people, we're attracting them and we're assimilating them. And so as we talk about attraction and assimilation, really we're talking about engaging new people, people that have given up on church, difficult people, but that's what we're talking about. And as we talk about advancement and attrition, it is equipping that deals with those 2 issues, because as we equip people, they grow in involvement, they become deeper attached, they're less likely to drop out. And so those are the kind of things as we move through and talk about our Sunday school course. I want to begin to make those 4 concepts come down into those 2 words that reflect our church vision and values, that mission statement. And so the second thing that we always do in a leadership meeting is we look at some health measurements, and so want to do that tonight. And so the first thing that we do is we talk about enrollment. And enrollment's very important because it is a gauge of engagement. I should have said that at the meeting. And so as we look at our enrollment, last fall quarter we had 753, and this quarter we're looking at 809, so we're plus 56. And so that's a good thing. We're attracting more people. We're engaging them, new people, in Bible study. The second thing that we always look at is average attendance. Those people we're engaging, are they present? So in the fall quarter, we had an average attendance of 368. Winter quarters, 337. Before it sounds like I'm going to jump off the cliff or anything like that, talk me in from the ledge of my window. I'm not too worried about it, because we did something different with the Christmas musical, so we had no attendance on one weekend, and that factors in. And then we had the Christmas weekend, so we had a no and a very low, and so that always affects our attendance. So I'm not going to panic at this point. Kind of like baseball statistics, I give it an asterisk, just so we know that we need to talk about it in a little bit different light. The third thing that we kind of focus in on when we're talking about our enrollment and things is attendance to enrollment ratio. And so want to look at that. And so fall, we were at 0.48. In the winter, because that low attendance, 0.416. A pretty good difference, but still respectable, and I think that will continue to climb, especially as we move towards Easter. So as we continue to go on, we talk about units. As we look at units, one of the things that needs you to be aware of as we do units is that in the fall we had 33 and 34, and we've explained that before. Winter, 33 and 34, so unchanged. But however, if you listen to the video or you've been watching the announcements, we're getting ready to launch 2 new classes. I'm very excited about that, and I hope that you'll be praying for those classes as we get ready to move forward with those launches. And so very exciting time at First Baptist. So the next thing that we looked at in our meeting was the issue of leadership. And so as we move forward with leadership, in the fall we had 51, winter 55. That's a +4. So I'm very positive about that, and we'll continue to add teachers and directors to our Sunday school classes as we move forward, and that's exciting. The next thing that we covered was potential leaders, and this is one of those places where I need your help. In the switch over to the new system, one of the things that we don't seem to have a good grasp on yet, because in the fall quarter we just didn't know because of the changeover, was the number of outreach leaders, care group leaders, subs, apprenticing teachers. And so we, in this week's Sunday Informer video, we talked about helping us identify those people. If you can, just write by their name on the roll sheet, teacher, outreach leader. We'll get them correctly grouped and get all that re-identified. And I think that's real important as we move forward, because some of the meetings we want to invite people to, it's important that we have a way of contacting them and getting them involved in a meeting. And so moving on, after that, we talked about prospects or potential for growth. And so this is something that we changed how we tracked with the move to Shelby Next. And so in the fall quarter, with the new system, we had 225 individuals. This quarter we have 247 individuals. We continue to see people joining our Bible study, so I'm very excited about that. And as we move forward there, I'm excited. What can I say? As you look at your class information, all that stuff's available through Shelby Next. As you log into your computer, there isn't anything that I've done for our whole adult Sunday school that you really don't have access to, even a little bit more than I do sometimes, because I don't have a nifty chart or graph like you do specifically for class. And so just be aware of that. And so questions are, who are we attracting? Who are we assimilating? Remember, that is that engaging concept that we're talking about. And then who are we equipping? Who are we training to be a leader? Who in your class is apprenticing to be an outreach person? And then are we beginning to close that back door? And I said this in the meeting, I really have a sense that the back door at First Baptist is closing. There seems to be a great excitement about our Bible study and about our church in general, and so we need to be making room for new people in our class. And so this is that natural point where I pause and ask for questions. If you're watching the live stream, you could probably type something in, maybe, I don't know. I've never enabled the chat, I don't think. But anyway, moving on. And so as we continue to move forward in our leadership development, we gave out a couple of handouts. Talked about making prospect contacts, and so cold calls to new members. And so I'll put links to that with this at some point, or those handouts are readily available. But the big thing is the 3 B's. Be prepared when you make a contact. Be polite. Be timely. There is no script. The thing I gave was kind of just some examples. And so as we move forward with that, just to kind of look a little role play is what I did at the actual leadership meeting. And so let me do that. I got my phone, And in the meeting, I actually ask people to play the role of a prospect, but I always start when I'm contacting a prospect by something like this. Hello, I'm Larry Stair. I'm the Minister of Adults at First Baptist. Do you have a moment that I could talk with you? Remember, in that, I want to identify who I am. I want to make a connection to our church, and so that they're aware of who they're talking to, and we can move forward. At that point, if like I made one phone call and I could tell that I had got a mom, and I had got a mom with a very unhappy child, and I just politely said, hey, it sounds like I've caught you at a bad time. I'll call back at a later date. Don't worry about it. Loved having our church. Talk to you later. Bye. And that was it. Called back a couple days. She was very appreciative, thanked me for doing that, and wound up making a very good prospect visit. But that's kind of the process for that. Is we always want to be polite and introduce ourselves and make sure that it's a good time to talk, especially if we're doing it by telephone. We want to be brief. We want to understand what we're doing. If you are using your Shelby Next app, which is how most of the interactions are coming out from Sherry and I, then you're able to like touch on their name, and at that point you know everything that we know about that family. If you on your phone or on your computer, if you touch up on the phone the little buttons in the top corner, you can see all of the interactions. So if Pastor Jared has already made a visit, you can get information about that. If I've already called them, that'll appear there. If it's a contact that now is beginning to move around through your class, they'll have benefit of that. And so it's very important that we use that interaction system, because that is our best way of sharing information between us, so we have the best opportunity to make a contact and make contact with those prospects. Like I said, a couple of handouts. We'll put links in the below once this finally all gets compiled, so that you have access to that. Then we moved on and we talked about the interaction system, and that is something that's really important. And so I'm going to see if I can minimize this Prezi and see if I can fire up my handy dandy cell phone here real quick and minimize that. And I just happen to have a cell phone emulator, and fire up my Android phone here, load my Shelby Next app, and here we are at Shelby Next. And so now this is basically what you would see on your cell phone as well. And so the first thing I want to do is look at interactions, and because we're logged in as for myself, we see a lot of things that maybe you wouldn't see. But here's the interaction screen. It looks very similar on both. One of the things that we're looking to do is be timely in making these interactions. It comes to you as an email. You can respond there by answering above the line or clicking the link, and it goes straight back into the system. You don't even have to open the app. But for example, let's say, and I'm going to go find my wife's Sunday school class real quick and search for it. You wouldn't have to do this yourself, because your groups are a little more limited. So here's Jeannie's class, and let's say I want to contact or assign a prospect visit in this class. And so all I have to do is I'm going to pick on Trevor's name here, and so I just will click on Trevor's name up here in the corner. I can click on it, and here's interactions. And now when it loads, this is something that's a little bit confusing. No interactions were found because nothing's been assigned at this point. But if we were to go in and we want to assign an interaction, all I have to do is the first one is a log. So let's say I just am talking to somebody and I want to make note of that. They're in our system, so I can come in and click the word select. I can, let's say I just make a phone call to Trevor, individual, and a summary of the phone call, and I can make a note here in the note field. and then I can save that down by checking the check mark. And so that check mark is always important. That's how it finishes the system. But that's just if I want to log information. Let's say I want to assign Trevor to someone. So it switched it over, phone call to Trevor. And I'm going to assign that to Larry Stair. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to search for myself. And there I am, a smiling face. And now see, it added me as the assignment, and I'm going to say contact Trevor and Hannah about the fellowship. Okay, so there it is. Now I can put a due date in here, and by doing a due date, that's what opens up the reminder system. So if I put a due date in here, that I really need to do this by the 26th till it's done. Now when I click this check mark, I've assigned an interaction. Okay, and so I'm going to go back now, and I'm going to go back to the main menu, and here I am. So now if I go to interactions, here's my new interaction, Trevor Brown. And so I need to call Trevor. It's also on my, just appeared on my phone, and I received an email as well. So all that happened in one fell swoop. Let's say I'm going to click on that interaction, and I'm going to come up here and I'm going to begin to edit it now. And so I'm going to come in and say that I made some notes here. So I had a great visit. Alright, and then I'm going to select that I completed it on the 25th, and done. And so now it's updated. Now Trevor's off my list because I've completed the interaction, because I've checked that check mark. Now you can use this system for prospects. You can assign a prospect to someone in your class if you're the outreach leader or the teacher. Hey, would you contact so-and-so? And it'll sit there and they'll be able to contact them and let them know those types of things. And it's a great way. And then you would, if I assign Trevor to you now, you would see that I had a great visit with him. We have learned one thing about this system. It's really easy to assign, but you need to put your name in the note field, because one of the things that it doesn't do a very good job of is identifying who made the assignment. So it would have been helpful in that case, because now when you do the follow-up, you won't know that Larry Stair assigned that. Or if you get someone gets an assignment from you, it's always helpful if they know where that assignment came from. And so that's really important. So that's kind of what we talked about in a nutshell in making assignments. But it makes it real easy for you to assign your prospects. That's how Sherry and I put prospects to you. When we put somebody in your file, we try to let you know so that you can follow up, that you can make the contact, those types of things. One of the cool things about that interaction system is that ability to assign yourself something. Because like with Barbara, I had made contact with her and then told her I would follow up in a week. It was really easy to go in and you can assign an assignment to yourself. So you can make it a loop and then check the date when to do by, and it will just keep reminding you until you complete that. So that was really a plus to me. You can assign me things to do. Anybody in the system can be assigned, and so that's an important part of the process. And so let me close my cell phone here and go back and drop back into the Prezi, and so that we can kind of finish up what we're talking about today. So we're back in the Prezi, and so that was just a brief overview about the interaction system that we talked about. You have questions, by all means, feel free to stop me in the hallway, pull out your cell phone, say, hey, how does this work? What are we doing? That type of stuff. And so because we want you to take really good advantage of the system, know how it's running and those types of things. And so it really is powerful, and it's a great way to do not only prospect contacts, but also to do ministry and care visits. So you can do a lot of things with it. Just be mindful that everyone that has permission to see the interactions can read what you're writing. And so keep your comments kind of general. Don't get real specific or gory details. If you need to do that, that really needs to be done in a phone call to the office or something like that. Okay? Just wanted to give you a heads up there. So after talking about sharing of contacts and how to use that interaction system, we kind of wrapped up the meeting. And as we wrapped up the meeting, we as always, did questions and answers and talked about just general things, and then ended the meeting with just a word of prayer. So, this wasn't near as fun as the actual live meeting, but it's been good practice. And so if you have questions, want to know more about the interaction system, this was just intended as kind of a quick overview, because I promised some people that I would get this information out to you. It's good kind of practice for me to get the kinks out of my system and learn to do some new things in different ways. Like, I challenge you to learn to do new things and use different avenues when you teach. We never want what we do with the Bible to become routine or boring. And so with all that said, I guess it's time to really kind of bring this video to a close. Thank you for taking the time to watch and listen, and I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me at the church, or just email me, lstair@fbcrr.org. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye, and I look forward to seeing you at the next quarterly meeting. Bye-bye.